Session 4 Country Updates. I would like to welcome our moderators, Dr. Matthew Baden, Dr. Peter Reichers, Dr. Christine Stead, and Dr. Sunil Pupani. Kindly come on the stage.
At what each of the countries in SWAC also has done, get updates from them. And this is honestly one of the things I enjoy most coming to these conferences, seeing all the wonderful things that are being done in your individual countries. We're going to start with Dr. Lopa from Bangladesh.
Hello everyone, this is Dr. Asina Jahan Lopa from Bangladesh. First of all, I'd like to take the opportunity to give thanks to the organizing team for giving me such a prestigious platform to say something about Bangladesh, and I'd like to give thanks to Dr. Poonam Madam, Dr. Pranay Ojha sir, and Dr. Vivek Gupta. So today, actually, I'm so happy that eminent faculties across the world actually we are having with us. So I will be talking from the in Bangladesh perspective about ECMO. Though we are this is greetings from Bangladesh. This is our language day, international. And what I can say that Bangladesh is a very densely populated country, and immense growth in past decade, but a fast developing economy. And capital Dhaka is nerve center and hub of all activities. So we all know that ECMO is a logistic and technological advanced life support, and we all know that it's a continuous process because the blood is taken out of body and through a dedicated circuit. And actually, what happened? The high technology and very costly machine instruments and gadgets are required. What we can say that the troubleshooting and we have very inadequate manpower with training and experience and the backup support. This is the main problem. And actually, we select use in a very selective patients with cardiac or respiratory failure to support the body when the lungs or heart are unable to do so. So it's still not a very common indication, but to really implement and sustain a successful ECMO program, adequate patient pool is required as a steady flow. So first, I can start with the first reported case in Bangladesh that has been published in a Bangladesh Critical Care Journal. That is actually a successful story. That was actually it was in United Hospitals in Bangladesh. That's a private sector. So this was a case of refractory hypoxia. The patient was a young female patient and a shock due to drug overdose that was successfully managed with ECMO the first time ever in Bangladesh. So there is a critical care team, and also there is a cardiac team. That hospital is actually they are doing lots of cardiac surgery is happening there because I think Professor Jahangir Kabir sir is doing that. So in that case, actually, this 36 years old female, she had a very refractory cardiac and respiratory failure. But after the patient was put on ECMO, and actually it took a long time, but the patient party was like, in the mid management, they told that we want to remove it, or we don't want to continue. But that was a challenge from the hospital and the team, and then the patient actually survived. That's a very successful story. And because what we can say after COVID, that's a very successful thing. It happened in Bangladesh. So, what are the problems? That's the main problems is the logistics, trained and dedicated manpower, and the financial aspect. So, we know that Bangladesh is a fast developing economy in Southeast Asia, and the lack of health insurance and uneven income distribution in the country, and the majority population actually can't afford costly healthcare service. And this is actually not uncommon, the awareness, the lack of it, and both in public and private sector, people has to make aware about ECMO. So without the adequate awareness, the necessary funding would not come. But yes, I want to show that it was happened on 23rd and 24th November 2019, first in Bangladesh ECMO and Critical Care Conference. And at that time, we have ECMO workshop in Bangladesh for the first ever. It happened, we bought the machine from India, and for the training purpose, actually, we have done 2 days ECMO workshop. And this was the workshop, it happened. But after that, actually, we couldn't continue due to the COVID. But what I can say, the ECMO journey in Bangladesh is still in a very nascent stage. There are two centers in capital of Dhaka, and one outside the ECMO is done. in recent times, especially after the COVID, we all are now, what can I say, we are more aware about it, and people were, when the patients were in severe COVID patients are deteriorating a lot. At that time, government also asked that, okay, we should work on the ECMO and training and all. So private sector also come forward, and after that, the private sector in the two big hospital, private sector, they come forward with it. So I think that in near future, more ECMO centers are going to come up. So, and we actually, that I was talking, the long we lost patients for the want of ECMO, and but the severe ARDS patients, we couldn't do anything for that. And yes, I can say that from negative to positive, we can do something. So that's my team, and that's all. So together we fight, we will overcome. Thank you very much.
A wonderful talk, and so wonderful to see all your team members and everything there highlighted.
It's my great honor to introduce Dr. Huda El-Hudi from Kuwait to give an update on Kuwait.
Okay, so good afternoon, everybody, and thank you again for the organizing committee for inviting me today. So I'm going to give you a very quick update on Kuwait in 5 minutes. This talk actually takes around 20 minutes, so I'm going to go through very quickly through the slides. I always like to try to start with this slide, which tells you an idea about how ECMO started in Kuwait. So ECMO was there actually. You have time. I have time. Oh, okay, good. So I don't have to rush. You don't have to rush. So ECMO started in Kuwait in 2012. That's when the first ECMO case was actually done. But then during that time, it was like kind of sporadic ECMO cases in different centers, not structured, not done as an organizational level, until 2017, where we did a major gap analysis to look at the service of Kuwait and then develop it in a kind of more systematic way. Which addressed lots of things, training issues, experience of the staff, case selection, etc. So there was a major QI project done, which involved writing policies, preparing the manpower, training the manpower, and providing the equipment and disposables, and benchmarking with ELSO. This is when we actually joined ELSO in 2017. And this is actually the main committee, ECMO committee at the national level that started, overseeing the whole service. So I always like to emphasize on training over and over again. This is when we started our training, one of our first courses in Qatar with the Ibrahim Fawzi group, where we went to one of the courses, and then we did several workshops in collaboration with the UK, guys in St. Thomas, Nick Barrett, and then in Erasmus Center in Holland. And following these 10 workshops, we managed to kind of establish the service. So training is very important when establishing any ECMO service. You have your initial educational process to qualify your staff, and then you need to also maintain that training for your staff. So you need an annual education to ensure that. And you need to have regular peer review, M&M meetings, and once you reach that level, then the next thing will be to have the ability to educate and train new members of the team, because there is a high turnover of staff, obviously, and then you need to continuously maintain the service. So this is what we have been doing. So this is just photos from different workshops that we have been doing over the years. So we developed our ECMO team. This is our first ECMO team, which you can see the volume there. We've got nurses, perfusionists, doctors, dietitians, physiotherapists. This is just from like 2 ECMO centers when we first started. So the training between 20 and 22 involved didactic lectures, hands-on training involving low fidelity and high fidelity simulation. You can see all there. And we managed to train, actually prior to COVID, prior to March 2020, we used to kind of get lots of help from abroad. And then when COVID came, obviously we couldn't get help from abroad, so we had to go and start our first ECMO course. And this is our first ECMO course in March 2020, where we kind of gathered everything that we learned from the different workshops that we have done from different parts of the world into our own local workshop. And we carried on doing this. So you can see here, we're not wearing a mask. That was March 2020. And then that was in 3 months later. So I think that was May or June 2020. So we started to wear masks with a little bit of social distancing, and then more and more courses done throughout the 2 years. So we qualified over 200 people in the 2 years period to ensure that we can maintain the service and even expand it, which we needed to do. Now, the way we did it is, once we train the staff, obviously it's not just training the staff, somebody has to oversee that staff. So what we did is we've sent the experienced members of our existing ECMO centers into these distant locations to oversee the service. So we can see here different, Dr. Omar from Jahra in the middle, Dr. Abdurrahman and Amiri, we've got Jabir, Dr. Sarah, so different people overseeing the different centers with the new staff that has been trained. And this is how we managed to expand it in a safe way. So we had a COVID-19 center during the COVID, which cared for only COVID patients, so they need to have ECMO. We have a separate hospital that did obstetric patients, so this wasn't available in the COVID-19 center, the obstetric service, so we had to provide ECMO service over there. And that's why, the way it expanded was slightly different than maybe in other countries. And then obviously the cardiologists got very interested in ECMO, so it started in the cath lab as well. So in 2020, as I said, we had 2 centers plus the chest hospital where the cardiac surgeons kind of first started it. 2023, we added another 4 centers there, all adult though. Now, this is a slide I had from my previous talk and actually from my previous talks. All my country updates talks, I always have that slide, which is we wanted to start pediatric and neonatal. That was one of the main challenges. And actually, I'm glad to say that this is not the case anymore. We have started pediatric ECMO, so we've done about 5 cases, and we've got somebody from pediatrics here in Kuwait. And we're doing the same thing. We're having a gap analysis soon in May, June, and we're gonna kind of oversee starting up the service then. SWOC ELSO meeting is another, not challenge, it's actually something we look forward to. It's gonna be in Kuwait in February 2024. So we look really forward to that. The meeting is here, it's gonna be in Kuwait city. So the things that we've done over the years in 2020, by 2020, we had our first ECLS symposium. We did over 10 workshops and we established a lot of training. In 2023, actually, we managed to achieve the ELSO endorsement for our ECMO course. It's a fully comprehensive ELSO endorsed course, simulation-based course, and that we achieved that in September last year. We run about 2 to 3 courses annually. We have a website where you can go, and anybody who's interested in joining the course, are most welcome to come to that. So it's up to the ELSO standards. We're planning to have the trainers course in Kuwait as well. So this is where we're gonna train people to be trainers on the ECMO course. So we're gonna work them up to kind of have their own course in their own country. And then obviously SWOC ELSO in Kuwait in 2024 February is the next thing we're gonna do. This is just an overview of the case statistics. So you can see the increase in the number of cases up to 21 with the COVID, and then slight decline in 2022, which is expected after the COVID has declined. So research, we are involved in a number of research projects. Some of our centers are very active in research. We are involved with the ECMO card, which started during the COVID pandemic. We've also have our data in the ELSO registry, the Lancet papers, our cases are already part of there, so in collaboration with ELSO, and we've had multiple publications in SWOC ELSO and center specific as well. We do transports both locally and internationally. We've done over 150 retrievals, including 10 international transports. Most of our transports in Kuwait is by road, but obviously if you're going abroad, then we do the air ambulance. Also Center of Excellence Award. So we achieved the Gold Center of Excellence Award in July 2020. So it was in the midst of the pandemic. So one of the best things that happened to us that year, gave a big boost to the staff, actually. And other centers now in Kuwait have applied to get it. So we look forward to them achieving it as well. And, going for the Center of Excellence Award and also I always emphasize on that. It's any center, especially a new center who's starting, go and look at the website. It's a great roadmap for you to know what you think, what you need to do. Because the questions they're asking makes you think, what do you have and when you don't have, what do you have to make? So I would really encourage everybody to go there and, start working for it. So this is when we received the award. We were in the middle of the ICU caring for COVID patients. So we had a nice cake to kind of cheer the staff up with, cupcakes to make sure that there's no manual handling. And then ECMO survivors, one of the things as well that we tend to do regularly is to have an ECMO survivors gathering. So these are our patients, and you can see the selection. We've got young, old, male, female, children, VV, VA, all sorts of things. These are all our survivors from the different centers. So we did our first ECMO survivors gathering just prior to COVID. That was in April 2019, where we invited all the ECMO team members and the ECMO survivors with high officials from the ministry, including the Ministry of Health there in the middle. And it was a great chance for people to meet outside the hospital environment, outside the stressful environment where you're seeing sick patients on the bed that you'd never thought that you're looking like a normal person there. And it was a big boost to the staff to go and say, okay, no, I have hope. Let's work on these patients, and they will go back to normality like other patients did. And we did our second ECMO survivors post-COVID. So that was even a bigger gathering because it involved all the ECMO centers in Kuwait. The first one was only for one center. The second one was for like 5 centers. There's a huge crowds there. But again, excellent, gathering that everybody enjoyed. So strengths we have in Kuwait, we have very strong multidisciplinary team, and this is actually going to be the theme of the next Work Also team meeting in Kuwait, is to have multidisciplinary team and the impact of that on the outcome of patients. We have very, very active physiotherapy team that does very active mobilization. We do lots of awake ECMOs. We do lots of double lumen cannulation, which allow the physiotherapists to mobilize patients. They love it. We run long runs on ECMO, and we've done quite a few rehabs for lung transplants. And we've done ECMO for uncommon indications like abdominal compartment syndrome and tracheal reconstruction surgery, aortic surgery, and then training. I feel it's one of the strengths that we have because it's my passion and it's something that I'm really looking forward to kind of expanding further because I feel this is what's going to make the service expand, not just locally but all over the world. So just lastly, I'd like to thank the unknown soldiers that are behind this. I keep saying this, I stand here, I talk about ECMO in Kuwait, it's only me in the face, in front of you, but actually it's these people that are doing all the work. They are minding the fort now, and they are doing all the amazing job that they're doing. And I always like to put here Dr. Shamsad's picture. He is our hero. He's like the Robert Bartlett of Kuwait, because any difficult case, cannulation, clinical management, whatever, we call him any time of the day. If he's in Kuwait or he's outside Kuwait, he'll be on the phone, he'll come and help you with the patient. And, he's like a great kind of reassurance for us to know that he's there if we have any difficulty. So I'd like to thank him specifically. And lastly, I would like to invite you all to Kuwait in 2024. The next Work Also meeting is going to be there between 15th and 17th of February. It will be preceded by pre-conference workshops on the 13th or 14th of February. It will be in Al Araya Exhibition Hall, which is in the middle of Kuwait Center. Kuwait is a nice city, especially in February. We have a special festival called the February Festival, and it's a lovely time of the year weather-wise. And I really look forward to seeing you all there.
Thank you to the chairpersons for giving me this opportunity, and thank you to SWAC also, which began with Sunil there, with Pranay and Venkat. And what I'm going to speak, because I was given 5 minutes, is just 1 year's contribution. The contribution begins from 2002 when ECMO came over to India. It's a large country with 29 states. There's some connection problem.
Now it is okay.
Yeah, okay. So, 2010-11, we formed the ECMO Society, came forward, and SWAC also formed formally. We did our first conference between 2011 and 13 that we were working in 2012, and 13 we formed the first SWAC also. So that bigger country with so many centers, I'm going to run through what has happened post-COVID in the last 2 years. It's not working. Oh, you see it? Yeah, thank you. So ECMO India Mumbai, September 22, this I sent to the newsletter. There were a lot of, in 2022, we had 8 SWAC ELSO workshops, of which at least 5 were done in India. And one by Ibrahim Fauzi in Doha, one by in Kuwait, that I got into the newsletter as a president giving news to the ELSO main center. And it was a pleasure seeing these 3 at Bombay and 1 at AIIMS New Delhi, which we did from the Simulation Society and our Department of Cardiac Critical Care. And these are very well attended workshops. More than 70, 80 people come. There is very good simulation happening. It's my proud privilege to say that though we have so many centers who have enrolled post-COVID, more in SWAC also, 45 of them, 25 exist from India. And I'm sure by the end of this year, we'll have 30 from India. So as we saw how in 2014, when we took out our first textbook, we had 39 dedicated centers in India till 2018. And by the time the second edition of the ECMO manual came out in India, but today we have in between 83 to 150 active and passive centers, 150 passive centers and 83 very robust big and small centers with great expertise and great numbers. I can say from my center, Rajiv is sitting here as the chief perfusionist from AIMS, we do about 6 to 7 ECMOs every month. Our ECMOs are integrated ECMOs, our ECMOs are more in pediatric than in adult, 80%, but 20% of the cardiogenic shock that we do in the cath lab, as well as what we do in our post-cardiotomy low cardiac output patients, I would say that with Fortis Chennai, Fortis MGM Chennai, AIMS, RVCC Bombay, Narayan Vidyalaya Bangalore, a lot of Apollo hospitals, especially in Chennai, and also in New Delhi, a bit of Apollo, but global hospitals, KIMS hospitals all over the country, especially in South India, with a lot of West Indian centers. The global map of the Indian continent seeing ECMO is on the rise. But probably during COVID, it was the medical super speciality from Calcutta that ran the rules, with Arpan and Dipanjan being chief leaders, doing very good and excellent COVID retrieval on ECMO. And their art on VV ECMO is something that we were seeing in the last 3 years come up to the maximum. So though Ravindranath Tagore in Calcutta does have an active ECMO center, it is the medical super speciality in Calcutta, along with Apollo Greengales from Calcutta again doing a lot. Medanta New Delhi, BL Kapoor New Delhi, Gangaram New Delhi, Fortis New Delhi, AIMS New Delhi, Max Saket New Delhi are some of the other very well-centric Delhi centers, and we could have a Delhi ECMO Society one day, and I'm looking forward to forming that with some of my younger colleagues. But I'm sure ECMO in India is here to stay, and with ECMO would be heart failure, because I foresee the way it has developed in India in the last 18 to 20 years. It's going to be post all the pandemics, whether it was Hini influenza in 2009, or the swine flu, or the Caesar trial coming up at the same time, and post-COVID in 2018, 2020, once the VV ECMO is out, the next has to come in. It's going to be VA ECMO for heart failure, and that's where I see ECMO going in the next 5 years for post-transplant and for heart failure. So I have to thank Pranay as well as Dr. Yatin Mehta, from whom I've borrowed some slides. ECMO in the ICU, we saw from the 1980s a lot of anecdotal reports from Mumbai as well as from AIMS. And however, we were not writing much. When we started to have a lot of mortality on our ECMO patients and VA ECMO in pediatric babies, it was in 2010 that from AIMS we came out with 3 major publications, one after the other, all in index journals across India, where we said that we declared, as a unit, we have a lot of mortality in ECMO, and up to the tune of 74-75% would we continue with ECMO. And then reading that, our chief as well as a few of our cardiac surgeons came forward and said, why don't we put these sick babies on ECMO and come off on ECMO? This way we make it cost effective, this way we do it under all asepsis, we buy time, we're not coming off on low cardiac output and then assembling an ECMO. And from 2010 to 2023, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Rajiv, we've done about 584 integrated ECMOs with about 74% survival. So our figures got reversed when we were doing ECMO at the right time. Now, ECMO for cardiogenic shock secondary to acute MI came up in all smaller centers. Viral myocarditis, Max Saket, retrieved in 2017 18 cases. And their cardiology department did a complete myocarditis workshop on ECMO. And I remember I had gone to one of them, but it was the swine flu which brought up ECMO and also COVID in our country. Now, ECMO and transplant initiated more in the state of Tamil Nadu. You heard Dr. Sundar, Dr. Paul Ramesh, and Dr. Madan, and you would be meeting them in 2026 SWAC conference, where that same center of Apollo Chennai is going to be, which is known for its ECMO lung and heart transplants and ECMO pre and post transplants. That center would be doing SWAC also for us. But many other centers and satellite centers, whether it was the KIMS Hospital, the Global Hospital, besides the Apollo or the MGM, many Tamil Nadu centers started to do ECMO pre and post transplant programs. It was in 2012 for the first time in transplant ICU for pre, during, and post lung transplant by the Global Hospital Chennai in association with a mobile unit of RVCC and a cardiac center there in Chennai, that the first successful post-transplant ECMO was done. So we went up as early as 2012. But the mid of 2013 sort of saw a lot of aluminium phosphide poisoning or cell-force poisoning, where Dr. Vivek Gupta's DMC Heart Institution from Ludhiana, as well as a smaller center in Gujarat. And that young person who was doing from Gujarat, Ahmedabad, has been a part of the SWAC also team. We don't see him this time, Dr. Samir Kami. But I remember him coming, he submitted a lot of papers to our journals, and this became a new indication for ECMO in India. Besides the post-transplant and the pre-transplant and the VV ECMO for pandemics, we also had a newer indication of aluminium phosphide poisoning. So here was a chief center doing low cardiotomy, post-cardiotomy transplant in AIIMS, and there were many centers who were picking it up either for transplant or for aluminium sulfurs poisoning in different parts of the northwestern part of India. And to add to it, CRRT was added in a big way. I saw Dr. Ranaji Chatterjee sitting here. He's done wonderfully with helping us with ECMO and CRRT. The unique hospital Surat was the hospital which also did with the DMC Ludhiana. 2010, the mobile ECMO units, and for this I think they deserve a big round of applause. Dr. Pranay Ojha and Dr. Venkat Goyal brought about the mobile ECMO units. They went from small to big centers. I remember they coming to BL Kapoor Delhi. I remember they coming to Gangaram Delhi, Vedanta Delhi, Fortis Escorts Delhi, and Fortis Gurgaon Delhi to set up their mobile BV ECMO units. They would carry at that time their own machines, which was very, very tough. It was difficult to carry a heart across in 2010 from Indore to AIIMS, and our cardiac surgeons were struggling. And I remember one transplant could not be done because we lost that ischemia time on transfer on a plane flight, at that time Indigo, from Indore to New Delhi. But here was a team, and I think they deserve, to my eyes, a very big award for this, not just the Platinum ELSO award, but a bigger award than that, of how they established the VV ECMO in the country. It was a very, very big thing. I think everyone should give them a round of applause. By that time, in 2010, 8 states of India, roughly 25 cities and more than 55 tertiary care hospitals were doing ECMO. And ECMO mobile units was initiated to create awareness, because this was what was lacking, that there is a modality available not just for heart failure but also for respiratory failure. It could be put in easily, monitored easily. All you needed was the knowledge, the awareness that what is the time interval in which it has to be put. Also, ECMO transplant came up, intra and inter-hospital transplants. With inter-hospital transplants on ECMO long distance, 250 kilometers and above, RVC again to be initiated, and road transplants, which took around 4 hours, was also initiated. The ECMO centers, as I said earlier, grew. Till 2008, we were just 3 to 5 centers, and today we are 150 centers, of which 83 are very active. I would put on the map 110 such centers. ECMO societies came up. I've not mentioned my society, but ECMO Society of India in 2010, the Southwest Asian and African Society with strong leadership in 2013, the Simulation Society, Cardiac Critical Care is its main forte, and in that it has trained more than 1,400 ECMO intensivists, and it hails from AIIMS again. And we have trained 1,410 to be precise in the last 5 years, much before COVID came. We started online ECMO fellowship along with other online fellowships in ECMO and cardiac critical care. And to our surprise, there was a hunger in the students to do these fellowships. Everyone sitting in their place of work wanted to learn online from us. At that time, Bus for Health was one of the major companies that sponsored us. We had no money. And I remember how we did in 2017 our first ECMO program of the exit exam, which was supported by AIMS and Tata Consultancy Limited. When they told us their program, they were doing for major centers and they were doing the NEET program for MCI at that time for examinations. They did our first examinations, and of the 92 candidates that appeared for the ECMO exam, only 53 passed. So I remember my first exam, it was held at Medanta. Our then director and dean was so keen to take the exam at the AIMS level that what we are famous for at TSS ECMO Fellowships is the kind of exit exam we do besides the training. So that helped. And more than 20 Southwest Asian and African countries joined the ECMO societies, with more than 45 active centers in SWAC LSOs, of which 25 were from India. So while we were in it, this is Dr. Pranay Oja's work. I can take no credit except for reading it out, since I'm reading out the Indian chapter. But a total respondent of 116 on this Survey Monkey 2023 analysis showed the centers, 83 of them had responded to this Survey Monkey. ECMO machines were 209 in the country in January end 2023. Total number of cases being done were more than 3,500 plus in that year of 2022 to 2023. Total annual cases about 950 plus in India. The total refusal not to do ECMO, where ECMO is not an indication, which includes the transplants, is about 240, and total refusal in a year is about 2,800. So that has been the post-COVID growth in 1.5 years. In 2021, when we thought of doing the survey, and how it has come up, the challenges faced are mainly cost. They don't adopt ECMO because of cost, and also because of lack of awareness. What came to our rescue and what helped us were publications. I'm very proud to say that we just recently, with Tima Publishers, got out this textbook of cardiac critical care, which has 24 dedicated chapters only on ECMO, both VV as well as VA, how we use it in the ICU. This book is a contribution and dedication by the Department of AIMS Cardiac Critical Care, and it has been dedicated to our parent body, Cardiac Anesthesia and Critical Care. So ECMO Volume Practical 1 and Practical 2 has been authored and has been with us from the ECMO Society of India by Dr. Pranay Oja, Dr. Venkat Goel, with Sunil Pubani coming in since 2010. This manual, besides the ELSO manual, helps many. I know the students come up and ask me either for the red book, which also is something that I've been borrowing last 7 years from Peter. I borrowed one this year also. I make photostat copies and give it to my best students. But it is this RBCC ECMO program fellows that you saw yesterday, where the compulsory red book is given to them. Also, Dr. Venkat Goel and Dr. Pranay Oja, with many authors amongst India, brought about Volume 2 Theoretical Manual, and this came out in 2012. 2023 end would see their textbook, Volume 1 and Volume 2, and also the new manual, which is going to be coming out. Yesterday, we saw the release of the ECMO Society of India Journal, the Indian Journal of ECMO, which is a very proud privilege. We've been trying to take this journal out, and thankfully, with Vinod Singh, Pranay Oja, Venkat Goel paving the way with Sunil sitting there as the founder of SWAC LSO from India, we took out 8 special issues of ECMO. This is our 8th issue in the last 5 years. The Journal of Cardiac Critical Care, which we run under the Simulation Society. This has, it's a supplement of ECMO reviews, and this was just launched on the 3rd of March this month. About 28 publications from India came out in index journals from 2021 to 2023. By now, I was counting 184 ECMO publications exist from 2015 to 2023, different centers of India. If I say where are the ECMO centers of the 29 states, we have them in 15 states of India. Some states which did not participate in this Survey Monkey were Karnataka, Bihar, Jharkhand, Maharashtra, Telangana, and Tamil Nadu in large numbers. 10 government hospitals in India have ECMO facility, but you'll agree most of the ECMO facility is in the private hospitals. Nearly 70% of the hospitals have ECMO units, are more than 200 bedded, and 30% hospitals are less than 200 beds, but do have an ECMO unit. Total ECMO done, 50% of the hospitals have less than 10 cases of ECMO done. 7 centers have done more than 200 cases. Roughly more than 3,500 cases have been done for more than 83 centers. Our center alone has done 1282 ECMO cases in AIMS from 2010 to 2023. The ECMO centers which have been established, only 2 centers before existed in 2010. 40 new centers have been added from 2020 till now. Cardiac versus respiratory, you can see there are more respiratory ECMOs than cardiac. High volume center respiratory are more than the cardiac ECMOs, probably because of the cost. But I think once you procure the machine, we are lucky at AIMS, we have 3 cardio health in the last 1 year. And our cardio help saves more than Rotaflow 1 and 2 does. So the more sophisticated and better the oxygenator and the lung and the pump, the better the survival if you've initiated ECMO early. The low volume centers both are more or less equal in both respiratory and cardiac ECMO. The commonest indications in most of these newer centers, and the 40 of them, are COVID, and second was the Guinea pandemic influenza with poisoning causing 15 to 16%. The department which is heading, who's the person who's in charge of the ECMO, it's generally the cardiac surgeon, which is followed by the critical care intensivist. The ECPR status, which was minimal, 55 of the known centers do not do ECPR. 35 centers are doing it. I think RVCC rules the rules there, but they have done less than 5 ECPR. So our retrievals, unlike many other more moneyed centers or smaller countries, are less than, let's say, for Australia or even Kuwait or Doha. Our centers are doing less retrieval. Extubation practices, 55 centers do not extubate on ECMO till ECMO is decannulated, but 27 centers have done about 10% of cases, and 7 centers are doing in more than 25% of the cases. The percentage of survival, total runs per ECMO, we try to form a registry. These are again great works done, all thanks to Dr. Pranay Oja. I think he is the father figure for ECMO in our country. He does all this work, and I sometimes ask myself, does he ever sleep? And the total I would like to say is survival to discharge with decreased mortality is to the tune of 54%. Respiratory ECMO selection criteria, 28% consider ECMO after a failed cycle and 13% ECMO are irrespective of the proning done. The adult respiratory runs per year have been, survival had been about 30% earlier, but it has changed from 2020 to 2023. These are some of the 2020 slides. 35% survived the ARDS, and the initial support of ARDS ECMO, if we do, that was another main indication. This is from the Medanta Center. 100% survived when it was initiated in an early stage. So ECMO early is the rule in BV ECMO and also in BA ECMO. And I would just like to say that when we talk about SWAC also, and standing tall as the chairman for this year, I would like to just say when we unite together and put in our data and share our data for our pluses as well as our minus, we work together and we achieve better targets and better results. Thank you so much. This is a very favorite picture from SWAC also 2018 because I saw Dr. Robert Bartlett there giving his pearls of wisdom to all of us. Thank you all.
Thank you, Poonam, for elaborative and excellent review of the ECMO experience in India. Now I would like to invite Dr. Adil Nofli or Sayed for presenting the country data about Oman.
Thanks for organizing to have me. I'm a perfusionist, a senior perfusionist, and ECMO coordinator. I'm going to share with you our ECMO program and some ECMO data. So we started an ECMO program on 2010, and first case was on 16/10/2010. It was a BA CABG into 1 gram. But unfortunately, last case was unsuccessful. It's only for 24 hours, and secondly, cannula was out, so it was not successful. So second case was successful, but not survival. The patient was, this was on of 2011. And case was VA ECMO for cerebral malaria. So that was for 17 days. Went nicely, no complication, but unfortunately, patient not survived. The third ECMO was the survival, and this is the successful and survival ECMO. It was on 22 of February 2011, and this was patient on VA ECMO for 22 kg. Patient was 10 years old, a case of post-aortic root replacement, Williams syndrome, infective endocarditis with supravalvular aortic stenosis. This was for 2 days, and this was the first successful ECMO we had. And this is our ECMO record and registry, what I do. So if you see, we did total 137 run. So we did 137 run on 134 patients. I'll go through this whole detail. So this is how we improve our ECMO. So we started with 2 patients, then 9, then 6, and 10 patients. And here maybe little 1 patient, and we have started increasing patients. Till we reach on the last year, which is the highest number of 22 cases. So this is also a graph showing how we improve our ECMO cases. We started little, then we improve until we reach now again 22. So we'll go through all the cases which we done. We did total cases now 137. So this case is neonate is 39 cases, pediatric is 62, and adult is 32 cases. So the neonate we had 39 for ECPR, 35 of VA, and unfortunately no VA. Sorry, no VV. The total pediatric also was done 66, 14 ECPR, and 52 of VA, and again there is no VV cases. So adult cases we did 32 cases, and ECPR 3 cases, and VA is 22, and VV 7 cases. So the highest run on we had on pediatric cases, it was 66 patients, and the lowest run was on adult cases, was only 32 patients. And also the highest run was on VA, total of 09 patients, and the lowest run on VV is only 7 patients. So we are ILSO member since 2018, and we are on silver level since 2021, and we are aiming for gold level next plan, maybe next year also, it's next plan. So now we are running ECMO, also nursing program. Yes, we are starting this year, inshallah. As you know, this is also a record for all up to date for all total patients, 196,000 patients done. And why I present this one? Because I have to add my other cases. So this is also the registry for Asia from the ILSO record. And this is our total cases which we done and survival. So we did 137 patients. We had 48 survival of ECMO and 42 total survival of our discharge patient. So again, if we go to the neonate, we have also. And the unit we have 39 patients, and this survival to ECMO is 58, and discharge survival was 35. The pediatric we had 66 patients, and survival of very good in pediatrics 77, and to discharge was 53%. So the adult is always survival is low, so we have 32 patients, 46 which is of ECMO, and 31 which is survival to discharge. So again, this is showing the survival rate, and always the survival to ECMO is higher than to discharge. We have very good there in pediatrics 77, and neonate we have 58 and 47 in adult. But the discharge is little lower on the adult, but it's still good on pediatric cases. This is the distribution of the patient, what we had. Sorry. Okay, so I want to share with you also last year data, because we had a lot of patients last year. So we did a total of 22 cases, And survival to ECMO was 54, and survival to discharge is 36. So neonatal also we had 7 patients, and survival to ECMO is 57, and to discharge is 43. Pediatric we had also 7 patients. And
Adil, sorry, would you mind to sum up, please? They are waiting in hall A. We have to join them very
Sure,
soon.
sure.
Yeah, please.
It's okay. So this is our the survival. So this is also distribution of the cases. What we did last year, we had 7 on 22 total, 7 neonates, 7 of VA, and here also pediatric 7 cases and 7 of VA, and adult is 8 cases and 6 of VA. So this is also showing survival last year, and we'll skip it. It's the same as we discussed. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for attending this country's update. Let all of us assemble in hall A. They are waiting for us for the validity function. Thank you.